I just can't do it anymore. That admission and that confirmation is some of the hardest and most challenging words that any woman or any person in that matter can say. Because when you admit to yourself, especially if you are a perfectionist like me, when you admit that to yourself, it's an extremely hard pill to swallow. And when you admit that, it has very big meanings behind it. And the meanings that I can't do it were actually the reasons why I didn't admit it to myself in many times in my journey, and also right at this moment right now. Behind the scenes, I have admitted that I can't do it anymore. And when you admit it, that is the closure of the version of you that has expired. And if you've been following my podcasts and my YouTubes, you will know that the previous episode to this one was all about a version of you expiring. And you know that the closure has been completed when you finally admit to yourself that I can't do it anymore. That is the final door shut, that it's done. Because once you say that sentence in regards to a relationship, a friendship, work, once you admit that, that is the first building block to the new beginning. Because it takes a lot, and I mean a lot, of courage and bravery to say, I can't do it anymore. Because when you're saying that, you are actually accepting the fact that whatever is not working can't work any further. It can't go on like this. And at that point, you've probably felt this call to say that you can't do it anymore. But then this other voice comes in, no, you need to try harder. No, you need to keep going. So what have you done? You've ignored the voice that says, I can't do this anymore. And as the perfectionist that you and I am, we keep going on the cycle again. Right, okay, I'm going to try harder this time. I'm going to try and make this work. I'm going to try another way. And then what happens? You hit your head against a brick wall again, until you are beaten down that much that life is showing you that you can't do it anymore. This is why some people don't realize when the ending of a relationship or friendship or work happens and they feel so broken. It's because they've been playing a character that's not them. And that's why life breaks you down, because it's breaking the character that you've been playing down, because that's not who you truly are. When I was in my previous relationship, I totally changed myself. I changed myself into something that I was not. I put everyone in front of me. I wasn't doing anything that brought me joy. I was keeping everyone else happy. I was being the person that they wanted me to be and completely forgetting about me. And in the process, I was absolutely exhausted. And life kept breaking me down, and my partner from before kept hurting me and breaking me to the point that there was nothing else to break. All I could say was, I can't do it anymore. And as soon as I said that, then my head started making stories. You can't do this anymore. What a failure you are. What is everyone going to think? That you've got married and divorced before the age of 30? What the hell is everyone going to think? How am I going to find someone else? If relationships and marriage means being hurt and abused like that, I don't want anyone else, but at the same time, I don't want to be alone. What do I do? I wanted this picture perfect life. I wanted a family. I wanted kids. I wanted the house with the picket fence. I wanted all of this. And now it's gonna go. What dream am I gonna have of the future now? What is there going forward now? These were all the thoughts that I had running through my head. And once those thoughts kicked in, I was like, no, I can't admit that I can't do this, because then that means that I'm going to sacrifice all of the plans that I've got for the future. And I've always been a person that plans ahead. So if I don't have a plan ahead, how am I going to live? So fear then kept me trapped. Because I want you to imagine at this point, I was in a dark hole, okay? And in this dark hole, I didn't know that if I just jumped a little bit higher, there was the rest of the world outside. There was a world full of possibilities. I couldn't jump that high to see that until I was broken enough that jumping was the only thing that I could do. It's like when you take a leap of faith. You jump, not knowing your ability if you're going to get the other side. Most people don't jump because of fear. But how about if you've got nothing left? If you're listening to this, you're listening to this for a reason. And if a friendship or a relationship, most probably a relationship, is coming to a certain point, you're listening to this for a reason, because I'm telling you now, there is nothing left. You are fighting to keep this together because of the fear that you don't know what's on the other side. I know what you're feeling. I can empathetically feel you right now, that feeling of fear is keeping you in the place that you're at. But I just want you to know something that I didn't realize. When all these stories came in, that I'm a failure, what are people going to think of me? That was just stories that my mind was creating. Because that's the good thing about the mind. The mind loves to create stories to keep you safe. And it's the mind that doesn't want to go and take that leap. The mind doesn't want to go and see what's the other side. It would rather you stay in the same place and be comfortable. But the thing is, right now, if you actually write down what are my thoughts right now? If I admit to myself I can't do this anymore, what thoughts come through your mind? And it will be really, really good if you can write them down. And then I want you to ask yourself, are all of these thoughts actually true? Because when you actually get to the bottom of it, none of these facts are really true. They've all got answers to them. And once we get rid of the chatter of the mind, because the mind is very loud, it likes to keep you busy. Once we get rid of that and we get rid of the loud noise, we will then reconnect to our hearts, which is where we as women really are, is our heart space. That's where our soul lies. It's our guidance system, and it's telling us where to go. Many people believe that they're stuck in relationships because their heart is keeping them there. It's not your heart keeping you there, it's your mind telling you certain stories that's keeping you trapped in that relationship. Because I'm telling you now, once you understand the stories that are going around in your head, you will realize that none of them are true, and then you will realize that it's your head keeping you trapped, and your heart is really quietly giving you the guidance and telling you what to do, which is for you to leave. But because that guidance scares you so much, which is totally valid, you then stay back in your head again. I know this because I have done it once. And behind the scenes, I will admit, for the past good few months, I've been doing exactly the same. I have needed to take a certain step in my life, and I have needed to change certain things in my life, and it took me a while to admit to myself that I couldn't live the life that I was living anymore. I was scared to let other people down. I was scared that I would fail. But in reality, once I'd got rid of all the noise that was going on in my head and I connected with my heart just kept saying to me, Jade, you're going in the right direction. Do this step, do this step, do this step. You are not a failure. The next level is here, and it's time for you to leap. It's time for you to leap, and I'm going to catch you. And you cannot imagine how many times I sat with my journal and my notepad, crying my eyes out because taking that leap was so big. So big. It felt gigantic. I didn't want to see what was the other side. But in many meditations, I'd seen the other side. I just had to believe in myself. And that is the biggest thing when you admit to yourself that you can't do it anymore, is believing in yourself that you will find the way. Every single day you will wake up and you will find the way. Even if it means that you wake up and you just get through that day, you're finding your way. And a lot of people don't realize that in saying that I can't do it anymore, it's not weak. It actually takes a whole lot of courage and strength to say that you can't do it anymore. Because we live in a society, and we're brought up, especially as women, that everyone else is more important than us. We have to sacrifice ourselves to keep everyone else happy. I live in a country and a culture where some men, unfortunately, are brought up that women are second-class citizens. That women are the ones that have to stay at home and do as their husbands say. And if that has been embedded in you since you was a child, and if that's what you've seen your mum do in relationships, you will continue the same cycle. And if you're listening to this, you're here to break it, as I am here to break it. And I have broken it. That stops with me. I know my worth now. I know my value. I know what I will give and what I will not to anyone, not just men, anyone in my life. And I know that I can only give from a place of putting myself first and prioritizing myself. Because the thing is, again, we're not brought up that if we prioritize ourselves, everyone else gets the best of us. If we make ourselves last, everyone else gets the worst of us. We don't realize that. Why? Because that's all we've seen our mum and other women do in society. But that needs to change. Because putting other people first, is that actually making us happy? No, it's not. It's making us miserable. So why are we doing it? Because that's what our mind tells us to do. Our mind tells us to do that because if we do everything that that person asks us, then they're going to love us. When in reality, they should just love us for who we are. Who we are being, not what we are doing. This is the difference. It needs to be about what we're being, who we are right now, not about what we're doing for people. This is what needs to be changed in our minds as women. We should be loved for who we are. Because it doesn't matter what you do, it will never be enough for someone that has high standards. Or actually, it will never be enough for someone who is not enough for themselves. Because that's where I struggled. My ex-partner was never enough for himself due to the past that he'd lived. And because he was never enough for himself, no matter what I did, no matter what I tried to do, it was never enough. The car wasn't enough. The house wasn't enough. The marriage wasn't enough. Nothing. And the money was never enough because he wasn't enough. Nothing to do with me. I had to realize all of these things. We do not have to keep putting other people before ourselves. And not only when you say, I can't do this, underneath it's saying, for the very first time, I am putting myself first. That's what that quote means. It doesn't mean that you're weak. It means that you're finally choosing you. Which is one of the most courageous things any woman can do after being extremely conditioned and programmed all of their life to put other people first. When women come to me, I understand the mental process that they've been through. I understand how challenging this really is. Living in the Middle East that is deeply conditioned by the cultural understanding of marriage. I'm not going to say the Islamic conditioning and religious beliefs, because there is religious beliefs and there is culture. There are two different things. And culture is very much a manipulated view of religion. So living in this society and having a manipulated cultural view of marriage and of your position in marriage, I understand women who are coming from this place, how they are truly breaking and going against everything they've been taught. Especially in the Islamic community, I know how challenging that is. I know how much of an outcast you could be viewed as within your community, which I think is absolutely disgusting. You are coming out of an abusive relationship, and this is why so many women stay in abusive relationships, because they're conditioned that if they're not, they're worthless. When in reality, they have the most amount of courage and bravery any man could ever have. Because she's standing up, not only for herself, but for other women, to say that, do you know what? You do not have to stand for this. You don't have to keep trying to make it work. You don't have to keep being unhappy. You deserve more than that. And this is why I'm so vocal about what I do and my story that I've been through. Because that was how I was made to feel. I was made to feel that I was going against the grain because I was asking for a divorce. That I was the one leaving him. That I didn't want to make it work. I'm sorry, after 8 long years, I am choosing myself. And I want to be happy. Nothing that he can do is going to make me happy. And in order for me to be happy in a marriage, I have to be happy within myself, which I'm not. If I become happy in myself, and potentially there is a gateway going forward, then maybe. There wasn't at all, but it was just something that I said. Just to get myself out. And you may lose a lot of people in doing that. And the reason why you lose a lot of people is, in all honesty, they want to do what you do. They want to have the courage and the bravery to do it. And it's the fact that they don't have that, they have to step away. And that's okay, because where you're going, you are elevating yourself so much that you do not want closed-minded people who do not actually have their own mind to accompany you on your journey. You need people that are going to uplift you, not bring you down. Because I'm telling you now, the amount of mental willpower that it takes to get you where I am today, whoo, it's a lot. But you have it within you. Don't think that you don't. You do. There is an incredible life force in you that you just haven't tapped into yet. You will get your strength, trust me. And the one thing that will ignite that strength is you admitting, I can't do it anymore. You're not weak for admitting that. If anything, you're admirable. Because by you saying it, you're also supporting other women to say it. You're supporting other women not to put up with stuff that they shouldn't be in relationships. You're supporting more women out there to be happy. And you're supporting more women to be in loving relationships, not only externally with other people in society, but in a loving relationship with themselves. Most of us don't realize that it's due to the lack of the love that we have for ourselves that actually took us into the abusive, unhealthy relationships that we have got ourselves into. And I don't want you to blame yourself for that, because you was never taught how to love yourself in the beginning. This is why, by you admitting to yourself and to the world, I can't do it anymore, that is the biggest token of self-love that you could ever give yourself. Because you finally allow the wall, the big mask, the big suit that you've been wearing for so long trying to be someone else. By you saying I can't do it anymore, you finally take it off and you breathe. And behind the scenes, I did that this week. And I'm telling you now, by me finally doing that, the relief that I feel, how open up I feel, the weight that's come off my shoulders is huge. And this is why I want to give you this message today. Because by you actually doing the one thing that scares you, you're actually going to feel the most relief that you've felt for a very, very long time. You're finally going to be able to relax. And you're finally going to be able to start that new chapter that you've always wanted and dreamed of. It may seem like a very small thing, but you're talking to someone who really knows the depth of that one small admission. As I've said before, and I'll say it again, You are not weak for admitting this. You are not failing by admitting this. And you're not losing out on a dream. You just simply are upgrading yourself. Because the dream that you had when you entered this relationship was the dream that you had years ago when you entered that relationship. You are now a different person that desires different things. And sometimes it's not actually the things in the dream that you want, it's how that dream makes you feel. And when you start to feel those feelings now, you'll actually realize that you can live your dream life today. You don't need anyone to create a feeling that you can cultivate within yourself. And I'm living proof of that. Yes, I have visions and I have goals, but the dream that I once had and how I desired to feel, I feel that every single day. And you can do exactly the same. So I'm going to leave it there. If you are desiring to make this admission to yourself and you are struggling to do so and you desire my support in any which way, please contact me. I have put how you can contact me below in the show notes. You can find me on my socials or you can pop me an email, either way. But I just want you to know that you're not alone. You are not a failure. You are not weak. If anything, I admire you and I love you so much. You are about to begin an incredible journey and I can't wait to see you flourish. Even though it may not seem it right now, trust me, you are about to make the best decision of your life. And before I forget, I do have something coming in January. I'm not going to disclose exactly what it is, but keep listening to my YouTube and my podcasts because I will be announcing exactly what it is. It's going to be a community of women who are going through things quite similar to this. So, and it's all going to be about rebuilding you. That's all I'm going to say right now. So keep listening and you can join in this new little thing that I'm creating very, very soon. Anyway, I love you lots. Keep shining and keep smiling, and I will catch you on the next episode.